pleasing, Brad, coming off a kind of a weird bye and so on to start with that intensity in Perth?
Yeah, it's strange to have a bye round 4, especially after your first game. Round 0 was postponed, so it's been but it probably, you're never really sure how you're going to come off those sort of breaks. But it really, I thought our assistant coaches in particular did a fantastic job over the last 2 weeks of just drilling down on the things that we'd reinforced through pre-season, but we weren't executing to the level that we would have liked in the first couple of games. So in hindsight, it came at a pretty good time for us, and the last 2 games to keep the opposition to 57 and 60 points is obviously a big turnaround from earlier in the year. So it's a good lesson for our players too, that you can have a really bad result, and that's, no one wants that, but almost there's a bit of a morbid sense from a coaching perspective that sometimes it takes something like that to really drill down on it and focus on it. And I thought the players got really good reward for effort for what we did tonight.
What's changed then, Brad, in the defensive profile then over the last couple of weeks?
Not much. And I said it post game round 2 that you're just a bit off, and that compounds into being a lot off and a big score against. But the game, it's a cliche, but it's true that our game is a game of inches. Like, it literally is. You're a bit off, you're a bit reactive, and the opposition market. And that was happening to us early. But I thought today, in particular, we were on for most of the game. Melbourne, to their credit, really challenged us in the third quarter. But I thought it showed pretty good character to respond to that challenge and then go back again. But clearly we've reinforced our defensive principles, but it's not like we've revolutionised defence. We've just gone back to our principles and the way that we want to defend, and had a focus on it, trained it, and then executed it. But it's very hard to explain, because the difference is not great, but it adds up to conceding 160 points in one game and then conceding 60 and 57 in the next 2.
Can you really see that, like even the shift in tempo in that early in the last quarter where you're able to control the ball for a while, which is the sign of the maturity of the group, or at least some things seeping through?
Yeah, it's an improvement. I thought at times Melbourne get back and defend really well. They're obviously, when Lever's there, it's even stronger, but they get back in defence. I thought we rushed forward a little bit at times, and it was a bit of a challenge for us offensively, because I thought we looked dangerous in flow, but then when the ball was held up a bit, we rushed forward back to their numbers. So I thought the composure was really good, but it was really led by our back 6 or 7, particularly our 3 last line defenders. Mackay, Ridley, Reid. We talked a fair bit about them at Essendon, wanting to get them together, and they've only played a handful of games together, and the last 2 weeks they've been really good for us. And tonight, we got convincingly beaten out of centre bounce, which can put your defence under significant pressure. But I think Melbourne only scored 1 point from centre bounce, and that was largely due to our last line defenders.
How is, Reid's development in the last, obviously he's been going a long time, and he just seems to have become a comfortable player even in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, it's been really hard. We've said repeatedly that he just needs a clean run. He's had a really difficult start to his AFL career, but his capability's never been in doubt. We just needed to get him out there and injury-free, and he's showing exactly what we thought he would. He's had a terrific pre-season, and obviously Ridley's an established, player. He's a Crichton medalist. He's been around for a while, but he's been injured too the last period of time. So, that combination of Reid, Ridley, Mackay is really important for us.
Will Setterfield was someone who played his first game tonight and looked like he had a pretty big impact in and around the ball, particularly with his pressure and his tackling.
Yeah, he was enormous for us. He's probably been a bit frustrated that he's had some niggles over the early part of the year, and I was really keen for him to play a good block in the VFL to make sure that he was absolutely physically right. And we thought he was, with Caldwell, Sardis going out, he was the inclusion of Shield and Setterfield into our midfield was really important. Now, really, in my first 10, 15 games, Shield and Setterfield were mainstays of our midfield. So it's a bit of back to the future for us tonight.
Have you abandoned Shield playing in the back line?
No, I know you asked me that. You're going to ask me that every week, Pete. I'm going to say no and then play him in the midfield every week. We just have to, the AFL roller coaster, particularly for players in terms of injury form, all those things, it'll just depend on what we've got available. But now we trained him all pre-season as a midfielder, as a defender, but I had to remind him that he's an All-Australian midfielder as well.
Ben Mackay, obviously that Port Adelaide game, some of the supporters were on his back. He was under a bit of pressure. Take me through how you got him back to playing to his strengths and playing away.
Oh, well, it's really him. Ben Jacobs has done a terrific job with him as our defensive coach. We've got a terrific support staff that work through those things. Really the only role I played is just reminding the players and our coaching staff and our football club of what the role of a coach is. And the role of a coach isn't to be a critic, it's to coach and support and to help. That doesn't mean that we don't give constructive feedback, and we don't sweep things under the carpet, but our job is to help them, not to just criticise them. And I think the whole Essendon army see tonight that it's a challenge. I mean, they want us to win, and I understand they want us to win, but I spoke during the week. The irony is that when you need the support, often it's not there, but when things are going really well, there's no shortage of support. So we just, as a coaching staff in particular, really went back to what Ben does really well. We got him into our club for a reason. It's been a deficiency for us for a long time. And he was a really important part of the win tonight.
How'd you assess your forward line function? Nice to get a career best forward out of Jai.
Yeah, he was terrific. Competing, we were sort of hamstrung a little bit with, most teams don't play two rucks. We were fortunate we did play two rucks tonight. Unfortunately, with Nick Bryan going down, we've got our fingers crossed, but we, suspect that's an ACL. So it's devastating for Nick if that's the case, and we'll obviously get it scanned to confirm that. He's I thought he started the game really well. He's really important to us. So Draper was a big part of our forward line, so that necessitated a fair change. So I thought the guys, we found ways and avenues to goal, given that we were sort of under a bit of duress there.
How is Brian? Obviously, that's a pretty devastating blow. He's trying to, fingers crossed, hoping for the best. But he's just had to grind away for a long time in his career, and now he's clearly established himself as a really important part of our best side. So to lose Tom Edwards to an ACL and potentially Nick in quick succession is pretty devastating. But again, that's the unfortunate reality of AFL football. You get on the roller coaster and you have the ups and downs, and we'll just support Nick, and he's a really important part of our future. So regardless of the outcome, I expect him to be a long-term player for us.
Just that we've won with your match ratio, you just concentrate on every game as it comes, but you've only played 3 games, and Brisbane already won 5 before that. It's sort of weird. You feel like you're halfway behind the 8 ball, and the fans are like, we're low on the ladder. It's just a quirky old season that way, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
I think I drive over the Balti Bridge past the Toyota factory and see the flags up and see our flag down the bottom. It's like, well, I look more at win-loss than ladder position. But it is strange. It's to have your first game of the year that you're prepared for cancelled due to a cyclone, and then a bye round 4. But you know, it'll. Yeah, we focus more on the win-loss, and I think the fans do too.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.